Hello everyone and welcome back to Top Tips for Archaeology Graduates. Today we are joined by Hannah, who is a field archaeologist. She graduated recently, in fact last summer, so this is her first few months in the job, and we thought we'd have a chat to her about what it's like to go from being an archaeology student, she's done a master's course at York as well as her undergraduate, to working professionally as an archaeologist. So hi Hannah, how are you today?
Hello, I'm good, yeah.
Oh, thank you very much for joining us. My first question is, so what's your job like? What are the kind of things that you do on a day-to-day basis?
So kind of every day in field archaeology is like mainly digging, recording, photographing features, sorting finds. It's really exciting because you get to dig different features in different periods all the time. So it's constantly changing, even though that is kind of like the basis of what we do.
Do you have any particular moments that have stood out for you in terms of what you've done so far?
Honestly, I kind of really enjoyed my first site. So I was on my first site actually for 3 months, and it was really great to kind of get the basics of archaeology and really start learning about what it's like in commercial archaeology, because it was so diverse. It was like very multi-period, so we got to do loads of exciting things with lots of great finds. Yeah, I mean, it's just exciting to have that like different, the changes all the time and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so is that the longest you've been on one site, 3 months? Or what's the shortest you've been on a site?
An afternoon. Yeah, it's been quite fun because after that 3 month site, I've basically been jumping from site to site near enough like on a weekly basis, but there's been a couple where it's just been a couple of days here and there. Yeah.
Okay, and then so the next question is, what's the best bit about your job? And I guess the other side of that as well is, what are the things you find most challenging?
I think there's two best things about my job. Like, I love being outside all the time. Makes me happy. Like, even though I started in winter, it was kind of quite difficult. We got to see the sunrise and the sunset every day, which was lovely. I just like how active it is. But also just the people. I think everyone in field archaeology is so much fun. It's a great job to have. Everyone's a laugh, so you're never bored. There's always people to talk to, and there's always people to learn from.
And then, what are the things that you find challenging?
Oh, again, working outside.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like it's so good sometimes, but obviously then you get the weeks where it's just like torrential rain, and trying to record in the rain is not my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, my experience in field archaeology was that the wind was surprisingly challenging at times. You'd be like trying to hold everything down while you were recording and taping everything to keep it.
So funny when your tape measure's just like blowing away.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, the best and the worst of the experiences is around the weather and being outside. So how did you get your job? How did you go about finding this position and then applying?
So I'd say it's quite a good time to get into field archaeology at the minute. There seems to be lots of jobs around, so for new starters. So I was quite lucky in a way that it's a good time to get into it. But I mean, I honestly listened to all the career advice I got at York, listened to Malin's amazing lectures, and kind of followed everything that was set out on there. Obviously, I put in my CV and said that I could drive, which is always a bonus, and I had my CSCS card. I applied, and I actually got I think I applied one evening, and I got a call, woke me up the next morning to say, "Would you like the job?" So that was quite fantastic.
You didn't even have an interview.
I didn't. No, I think I know I'm quite lucky in that way. It's not that for everyone, but I'd also definitely say that I know I didn't have as much digging experience as often jobs ask for. So I think always apply anyway, and just state all the other things, all the other experience you have in archaeology.
Yeah. So that was going to be my next question actually. How much sort of volunteering and on-site experience did you have before you got the job?
Digging experience actually very little. So obviously I did my training dig in my undergrad, and then I actually went to do the Elizabeth Castle project in Jersey with York, and that was a lovely time. But all in all, it wasn't a lot of experience. However, I did have quite a lot of post-excavation experience. I used to volunteer at York Archaeological Trust, so I had lots of experience in that sense. So maybe that, hopefully helped me to get my job.
Has that helped you get with your job, having that kind of hands-on finds experience while you've been on site?
Yeah, definitely for some things. For example, I had no experience with any sort of pottery up until then, so that helped me to learn a bit about that. But yeah, so it helps you get to grips with things, and you know what you're going to be experiencing on site, what you're going to be finding on site, and so it's nice to have that understanding.
It's nice as well to see that perhaps, although you're now digging, other experiences, volunteering experiences, contributed to you getting the job. It didn't have to just be that kind of experience. So how did your kind of experiences with York, the first year field school, your time in Jersey, differ from being on a commercial site? How is it different?
Honestly, when I think of first year dig, I just think about like how slow I was digging and how much I troweled. I just troweled everything, which honestly now I think if I troweled day in, day out, my hands would be ruined. I don't think I'd be able to use them.
Yeah.
So I think, although by the time you've obviously done your first year dig, by the time you come to graduate, there's quite a lot you've forgotten inevitably. But I think it definitely gives you a good idea of if that is something that you'd be interested in. Like it's still working outside, you're still working in the team, and you're using the tools, you're using your knowledge in the same way. So I think it's really good because from that if it's something that you want to do. But in general, commercials quite a lot faster and obviously quite a lot more varied because you're going to multiple different sites, whereas you're just learning on one site in undergrad.
So is there anything you wish you'd known before you'd started this job?
Oh, maybe about short-term contracts, because that's actually something that nobody says. Like, you don't know that you're just going to be on a short-term contract, and that can be sometimes can be good. It really depends on what you want. Like if you want to be moving around a lot, then it's ideal for you. But I mean, I've been at the same company for I don't know since October, so like a few months now. So there's like lots of jobs about, but you just have to be wary that it's not, you don't just get that job and it's permanent.
yeah, you've got contracts while the company has work.
Exactly, it's just definitely something you need to be aware of.
And you said to me when we were chatting before that you do a lot of working away. Was that what you expected it to be like, or are there kind of differences or things you'd wish you'd known about working away from home?
Yeah, I think I honestly don't think I really thought about it. I mean, it makes so much sense. The archaeology is not just going to be on your doorstep all the time. And yeah, like I said, at the start I didn't want to really work away. I was quite comfortable with my people that I got to know and with the site that I was working on. But now I'm loving working away. It just gets you to see different parts of the country and work in different types of archaeology. And it's actually just been a lot of fun and get to go to different places, which I don't know, good experience.
Yeah, definitely. So can I ask, how do you think your degree has helped either kind of the content of the degree, some modules that you did, or more the transferable skills that you developed?
I think for commercial archaeology, definitely like skills modules are really helpful. Like I wouldn't have thought doing experimental archaeology, for example, would necessarily be transferable, but actually it's given me experience with like flints and things. So now I can tell worked flint, and actually my supervisor asked me about a worked flint the other day, and I was like, oh, I know about this. It's so exciting. So yeah, and I also did geophysics as one of my skills modules in masters, and I got to work with the geophysics team as part from the side of my company, and I got to do a couple of weeks geophysics with them. So yeah, it's been quite nice to use those skills from my degree.
Yeah. What about transferable skills? Is there anything that you've picked up kind of around the degree, the soft skills like team working and things like that? Is there anything like that you found really useful?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's so important, isn't it? what archaeology is. You're there with your team. You've got to work together. You've got to make it work. If we thought of a saying this week that there's always too much or too little archaeology. There's never the right amount of archaeology for the days you're there, for, you know, for the weather, for whatever. So you've got to work together to make that work.
Yeah, great. So I wanted to, I guess, end by asking if there was any advice that you give to people who wanted to follow in your footsteps, or who were thinking about this summer once they graduate applying for field archaeology jobs.
Yeah, I think don't stress about it too much when you're applying, because I over stressed it quite a lot, when I think you just need to put your CV in, and, you know, also, like, because when you're starting, when I started, I thought, oh, I have to know this, this, and this. When really, like, the people on that site know that if you're coming straight out of uni, then you most likely do not have the experience in commercial archaeology, and you don't know what it's going to be like, and that's completely okay. You learn it all when you're there, and everyone's so nice. So you just ask, just ask, and people will tell you, and they're not going to be annoyed, or they're not going to be like, you should know this. Then just not. Like, they know that you don't know everything and that you'll pick it up really quick. So just don't worry the fact that you don't think you're ready, because you are. You're going to pick it all up when you started.
And is there any kit that you need to buy that you'd advise people buying before they start?
Really, your company should be getting it all for you, but I think it's always good to have spare everything. I tend to have like a spare drawing kit in case your pencil goes missing on site. You've lent your Sharpie to somebody and you never get it back. Also spare clothes in case you flood your wellies, or you're stuck in the mud and you need to change your shoes, or it's rained so much you need a different jumper to drive home in, things like that. And then also knee pads are also a really good idea, so you don't hurt your knees when you're kneeling on stones and digging. That's generally not. I don't think I've ever seen somebody turn up with knee pads. So actually,
top insight there.
Yeah, top insight. I'd say though, don't get really too much until you start, because you'll end up buying things that you won't use. Go see what everyone else is using, see what you find useful, and then pick it up if you need it.
Yeah, that's good. That's good advice. But I would say definitely bring a spare pair of socks.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Dry socks for the way home.
Hats,
yeah. And then finally, I'd just like to ask, so what are your ambitions for the future? Do you see yourself staying in field archaeology? Or are there other things that you'd like to do as well?
Honestly, I don't really have so much ambitions. I'm kind of more of a go with the flow person. I'm just really enjoying it for now. So like, while I'm enjoying it, I'm going to stay in field archaeology. I'd really like to dig a prehistoric site one day, so so I'll stay in until I do that. I'm just kind of going to see where it goes, and if I want to switch into postdocs maybe in the future, I said I do enjoy that. Maybe I'll do some more geophysics, I don't know. Like, I'm just kind of going to see what I fancy doing.
Good stuff. Maybe we'll check in with you in 5 years and see what you're up to, whether you're still working as a field archaeologist or doing something different. Thank you so much for joining us and answering my questions today. Thank you, Hannah. And to everyone else, thank you for watching, and we'll see you again soon for the next top tips for archaeological graduates. Thank you.